Alright, so this is a different one. I am actually on a project to make a pergola in a backyard. So we're here at Sam's Club. They have a really good deal. So if you're in the market for a pergola, they have one for $9.99 and it comes with free pickup, so you don't have to pay for that if you have a truck or someone that's a friend with a truck. Alright, so I'm at the Sam's Club here in the NASA Houston area. It comes with like a little electronic hub so you can put your like cell phone on there with a USB. Let me see here. Yeah, see that little, and I'm assuming you can mount this anywhere you want and then just plug this in to your house extension cord exterior. And here you go. $9.99 barcode. This is what I'm getting. It's a 14 by 10. And I'll make a video of me assembling this so you can see it all put together. Alright, so here it's got a webbing on the top. And it's solid wood. It's not like the plastic stuff that just eventually breaks apart. And you got the stainless steel, not the stainless, it's like just a steel frame, accordion style that you could buy for cheaper, like Walmart brand or whatever. But those do not hold up, especially down here by the coast. They all rust out, and then the wind gets a hold of them, and the little liner top, I don't know how you explain it, but it's like a fabric weatherproof top that, oh yeah, bull crap, that stuff just falls apart within like a year or two. And they know it. That's why you see them selling the replacements on their website, because they want you to keep buying their replacements. Kind of like the whole buy the printer and sell the ink forever, and then you're buying ink once a month for $40 for one cartridge. So we're done with that. So we're putting this bad boy together in the backyard. I'll film the process and give y'all my opinion as I go. And I guess for y'all that are just now considering this and maybe found me during a YouTube search, I'll kind of pan down so you can see everything. It's a cedar. And then there is directions through, I guess, a mobile app or through your phone, so you can keep that with you while you're outside. And then here's an idea in case you aren't wanting to pick it up and you want to have someone do it for you. Delivery and install. Delivery and installation, $400. Delivery only. I guess maybe if it's locally, it's $100 delivery, but they didn't tell us that. Alright, so apparently everything that you saw inside is in these two boxes. And I'm gonna put them in my 8-foot bed, bring them home, put it together. So it comes in two. One of two, two of two. Everything that you saw comes in two boxes. Alright, so just got to the house. Show y'all what I'm dealing with. So I'm gonna have to carry, it's just myself right now, so I'm gonna have to carry all these pieces. It's gonna just be easier for me to walk around. Really nice to have the water there. This is for me wrapping all the plants for the cold weather. So I built that deck. So you know I have the capability of being handy. Okay. Here's what I was talking about. If y'all get suckered into buying these things, I feel bad for you because they do not hold up to the weather very good. And what they don't tell you is, I don't know if you can see, but see how flimsy this is? It's just the wind. And then they say it's made of metal. Well, yeah, right. The joints are all plastic. And I don't know if you're familiar with plastic, but I don't care. Over time, plastic gets cold, it gets old, it gets weathered, and what does it do? It cracks. And then all these joints, for example, see that joint? It's out of that socket because it was a piece of plastic that cracked off. So, piece of crap in my opinion. That's why we're doing the wood. And once we do that, it'll turn out all right. I'm gonna pressure wash this whole deck too and stain it. Needs to be done, but I've been waiting for the cold weather to kind of die off. But yeah, put that pergola right there in that corner, hang some lights, have some, hopefully some meetups with like some local resellers, YouTubers, etc. Grill out, etc. All right, wish me luck. I'm gonna start putting this thing up. So obviously I can't carry this big old box by myself, so I'm having to open them up, carry a piece at a time. But this is the first major box, and you can see the 4 major structural beams that hold all the weight are here, and then some cross beam sections for the first box. And I'm guessing the second box will have a bunch of the smaller, like lattice type framework for the tops and everything else. All right, so here's the second box, and as expected, all the pre-cut pieces are all in there, and then I'm assuming the hardware is in here also. Yeah, just a bunch of, kind of like IKEA, just getting it all together and figuring out what piece goes where. All right, I unloaded all the second box. Kind of got it all sorted before I carry it back there. But in case y'all are wondering, comes with a booklet of instructions, and I guess it probably just mentions how many pieces of what and labels them and all the hardware, etc. And then this is the bag of hardware. It's huge, like I'd say like bigger than like a gallon. Whatever those storage bags are, but yeah, you can get an idea just on that how much hardware there is. But there's a lot of big lag bolts in there that take up a lot of space, so hoping we'll see what happens. I'll have to read the directions and see how long it takes for this thing to be put together. All right, here's a bird's eye view from the balcony that before. So I'm gonna be getting that thing out of the way, and then I already got it. There's all the pieces for the pergola I'm gonna be putting together. And obviously pressure wash the whole deck. You can kind of see the before and after. Alright, so I kind of cleared out the area so I can start building it up. And in case y'all are wondering, I'm putting together a backyard discovery. All cedar Somerville pergola. Alright, prior to starting, kind of separated all the like pieces into stacks so it's easy to pick from as I'm burning and turning. Let's see what I can't do here. So I open up the bag of bolts, screws, and all that type of stuff, and what's good is that they already have like the part number, I don't know if you can see it, but of each item on the bag. So I just cut a slit on the side of the bag and kept them all together and laid out. So when I'm looking at the schematic for each step, it tells you how many of each part you'll need. And you just go to the bags, pull them out real quick. All right, I just got done with step 1. There's one of them, there's 2 of them. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only trick is making sure you remember that on these larger posts, there's a hole right here on the underside that attaches that you got to keep a sharp eye on, because 2 of them don't have the hole and 2 of them do have a little preset drill hole. It's the only trick that I would say be careful on for the first step. All right, I just finished step 3. These 2 long, what were they called? They were called the long angle brace and the joist, and then those were the shorter ones. So step 1 was putting those together. Step 2 was those. Step 3 is those. And the only thing I can say on any tricks is just pay attention to the configuration of how those join up, and then tighten them up, obviously. Just pay attention to the pictures. All right, I'm starting to line up these joists. And if it's a windy day, You pretty much just need someone to stand on one side and make sure that it doesn't popple over, or if you have some way of securing it with some heavy something to secure it from just swaying in the wind. But once you get a couple set screws in there, you can get up top and set it all apart. It's not too bad. Starting to come together. I haven't tightened all the screws down, but you're starting to see it. Wanted to mention finishing up step 4 when you're tightening up all of these in each corner. Save these for last, because these I tend to pull these down so you can kind of give yourself wiggle room, and then you tighten these up at the very end of step 4. So that's kind of a trick that I did that made things go faster for me. Step 5 really goes pretty quick. As long as those holes on the top that you paid attention to earlier are up there, they line up pretty good. So it's moving along pretty quick. Step 5 only takes maybe 15 minutes tops. I will say this. You definitely want an electric drill, but I'm using a Ryobi, and it's not as powerful as I would prefer, and I've already had to swap out the batteries a couple times. So if you want your job to go quicker, I would recommend something with more firepower than what I'm using. So borrow the tools from someone who has a really good screwdriver or impact drill or something like that, because this one is just, I'd be going a lot faster if I was using a better tool. All right, here's step 5 complete. Everything's on there pretty darn solid. Now I just gotta put the actual cross beams to make more shade, which is over there. And then it's just a matter of tightening up a few screws probably and putting on the electric. All right, I'm up here on the ladder. Another step here is when you're putting the top pieces, you see how they have to combine at an angle and screw in there? Well, you have to stagger it. So on the next one, you stagger it here and then run the screw through. And you just keep going all the way down until you get to the end. And that's pretty much it. I'm going, the only thing that's slowing me down is having a mediocre electric screwdriver. So I'd probably already be done if I had a decent screwdriver. But it's looking pretty good, guys. Well, I'm starting to run out of daylight, guys. We've already got 4 of the ribs up. Got 8 more to go. Yeah, crept up pretty quick on me as far as the sun going down. So, the instruction says it takes 2 guys about 7 hours. And I've done it by myself. The only time I really needed any help was for like 10 minutes for someone just to brace this part on that side, because I needed to make sure the wind didn't knock it over while I was setting the joist and setting them up. But other than that, it's been a one-man show for me, and I'm kind of curious to make a video on this, because I think that if you're handy and you have a knowledge of tools and you have the right tools and you don't mind getting up and down a ladder, because you will need to do that, then you can do this in one day. And I just started a little bit later in the day. If I started at like 9 or 10 in the morning, I would have had this done. So keep going, show you all the progress, but I think it's looking pretty darn good. Well, there's the bird's eye view. Still not done, but you can see how it's gonna look in that corner. All right, so next day, good weather to finish up the pergola. I got like 5 more of the cross slat 1x1s to go, and then I'll secure everything with the electric. Wanted to point out that some of these 2x or 1xs that you're putting up, I don't know if you can see at the end, but they do not have a perfect straight. They have a slight bow in them, so I guess the wood quality is not as perfect. But what you'll do for that is just measure the gap here with like a tape measure, or if you really wanted to, you could almost, because it's the same measurement in between, you could build like or cut like a piece of 2x4 as a spacer, and then just space each board and then drill accordingly to keep it nice and parallel with the other ones. What I'll do is I'll just measure the gap, go to the next one, measure the gap and flex it a little bit and then screw it down. So the best method that I've found for putting up these 12 ribs on the top has been to go ahead and set the middle screw where they join forces to make the 12-foot segment, and they kind of interlocked with each other. So set that one and then go to the very end and set it into the set holes that are in the boards. And then like here, see how I can move it? But what I'm doing is I'm looking for that little tack hole. And so I know that it's measured properly. And so I'll put this one into that tack hole and then go ahead and finish the center ones that'll line up. All right, so I'm to step 11 and it calls for mounting this, which is like a yellow tag that says revision A. I had no idea what that meant. And then obviously this nameplate that says Backyard, what is it? Backyard Discovery, which is the company that made the pergola. And then there's the screws. But in case y'all are wondering what revision A means, that's just the style and the body design of this pergola. I guess it's well known in the industry. And I did just a Google search on it to find that out. And it also showed me that there's actually some free do-it-yourself plans. So if you don't want to spend the $1,000 to buy this from Sam's like we did, well, $1,100 after taxes and everything. I guess when the wood prices go down, you can buy the plans or get the plans to build this by yourself, but you just gotta wait for the wood prices to be accommodating to that and want to put in the time, and I'm sure you can save maybe half the cost, maybe $500 in wood, something like that. You still got to stain it and do everything else though, waterproof it, you name it. So I'm getting close to the end, guys. All right, so the next step is putting these feet underneath each 4 posts and then securing it to here. I'm putting it on the deck, but you also have the capability of using directly into a concrete slab if you have at your house. So you probably want 2 people to do it a lot easier, but the trick I found is if you just in the middle joist, you can just lift up, push up, and then slide it like an inch at a time over there, and then just alternate it and kind of push it, slide it, whatever you got to do to finally get it in position exactly where you want it to be forever. So that's what I did. Now I'm just going to lift it up just a tad, slide the feet under, and then mark it with like a pen or pencil, so in case it slides, etc., when I move the pergola out of the way. And then I'll screw the feet down onto the deck, and then I'll move the pergola back in position on top of the feet, and then screw the actual post to the feet with the little side holes that are in here. I should already have it on plastic, but it's okay, y'all get the gist. And then the last step will be getting underneath. I haven't got underneath the deck yet, but I'm gonna plan on getting underneath where these feet are positioned and put a little bit of extra support, such as cinder blocks or some sort of maybe a 4x4 with a what are they? I designed cinder block that has the hole in the middle to hold the 4x4. So one of those two, depending on the space I have on capabilities down there, just to support the weight of the pergola at those exact locations, because I don't want it to the wood to get old or soft or whatever, and then it just eventually sinks and then it collapses the deck in certain areas. That would be terrible, because then you're talking about an expense of replacing all the wood and rebuilding everything and then possibly damaging the pergola. So let me get to work, see what I can do. So here's how they look with the actual bottom feet on. And it really wasn't that bad. You just kind of stand, I'm 5'10", and then you just kind of stand right here and then press with 2 hands. And then as you're pressing, you're just gonna look down and then just kick this underneath, because you only have to lift it up like 2 inches, push up real quick, slide it under, and it just kind of falls in place. Now I'm gonna just mark all of them around the edges with a pen or pencil, move the pergola, screw them down, and then move it back, and then it should be obviously the feet are here. I'm just gonna use a pen, pencil. If you happen to have chalk, you can use chalk. Really doesn't matter, but That's what I do. Now I'll just lift them up real quick for 2 inches, slide the feet under, and then move the podium temporarily. Mount these down into the actual decking, and then you can see there's little side set screws after they're all done that I'll screw into there, and that'll secure the pergola to the wood deck. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll get underneath. If you have the crawl space, great. If not, you're gonna have to figure out how to support the weight, because you don't want a chance damaging the actual deck with the weight of the pergola. All right, so the next step is it comes with this electrical box, and you have to decide what post to mount the electrical to. Now, since this is in the corner facing outwards, I don't want to use the first front two, because I think that hanging cords would just be an eyesore, plus it might get in the way, tangled on somebody while they're running around or doing something. So I think I'm going to put it on the inside of this post, because I already have, when I built the deck, I ran an electrical line. So I'll just go underneath, and then I'll pre-drill. So I'll mount this to the pole like right here, and then I'll drill a hole right in that area so I can run underneath the deck like an 8-foot extension cord. That way it looks really clean with no cords like just, you know, tacked onto the deck. That would look kind of stupid. And then it comes with, to make it easier, it comes with this like template where you just kind of set it onto the post, and then wherever you decide, then you just get like a screw or whatever and just puncture the hole to just do a little cheat sheet tester hole, and then remove this and then mount the brackets that they give you. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. There you go. Mounting bracket, mounting bracket. Let's see this thing. See the holes in the back should line up if their template is correct, and it should just slip over and then pop down. And here we go. This is the electrical box. This little flap, that's pretty cool. I'm assuming that flaps down so you can either put a drink or your cell phone, because there's like a USB that you can use on a charging cord. You just charge your cell phone while you're hanging out here, and then 3 different plugs and then on-off switch. So if I have like the gazebo lights or a fan or something, I can have it all here, and then I can control the lights on the pergola by just flipping the switch, and it would always be plugged in through this cord. And then there was a safety measure. You're supposed to make sure that this isn't within 6 inches of the ground, which I clearly am about a foot, so I'm within that mandate. But yeah, that's the electrical box installed. Well, if I was a mechanic and I just got done doing a job on the car, I'd be a little concerned seeing all these extra bolts and nuts and like tools that were left over. But don't fret. This is, I guess, by design. In case something happens, they do give you extras, and that's what I had after this is all done. So I'm at a good stopping point, I feel. I'm gonna get a little like channel like screw downs to make this nice and taut and make it real clean along the post. I'm gonna drill a hole here, and I'm gonna run like an extension cord to that connection underneath so it's all nice and clean. I'm gonna go into underneath like I had mentioned already, and support the areas where those posts are onto the deck to secure and make sure that it doesn't sag at those specific spots. So I have to go to depot and find that and measure underneath and everything, and then I'm gonna pressure wash the entire deck and set everything back up, because obviously you have to move things out of the way to do this project. So that's it. I'm gonna cut to probably me climbing underneath the deck to secure the, I guess, cement blocks or whatever I decide, and then pressure wash, and then you'll see a final photo or video coming soon. All right, so I'm about to get under the deck to measure what I need to fill the gap on the supports. Figured I can do this because I'm not gonna be able to look up and see where the actual posts are. It's kind of tough to see through the small cracks on the decking, but these like metal skewers they will fit through the crack, and then I'll put them like right at the corner of where the post is, basically. And then, oh, if I can find it somewhere. Okay, so there I go. So now when I get underneath there, I just look for that point, and then I'll just look right around that area and make sure that if there is no support, I just measure it with my tape measure, the distance, and then I'll know what to go off of when I go shopping at Depot or Lowe's or wherever you shop. So I'm gonna do that for all 4 posts, get underneath there, and I'll record and show y'all what I'm looking at. So there you go. I've got 4 of those skewers marked just to the right. See, there's one. There's the other. And there's the other. So I know that I just got to support directly to the left of where those skewers are and see what my situation is down. Now, my situation, I'm a little bit luckier than maybe some of y'all because I have some clearance to squeeze in there. I'm 5'10", 180, so I am skinny enough to squeeze down there. But if you don't have the clearance, like if you only have like a 12-inch deck or whatever and you're worried about supporting it, you might have to basically pry up a couple of the boards top side with either your screwdriver or some sort of nail. It's like a metal tool that you squeeze into the gap and pry up to get the boards up. They're not too expensive to buy at Depot. It's just like a pry bar that people that do decking with would use. But for me, I'm gonna get underneath there, climb down, look for the skewers, and then measure the gap and see what my situation is. Here's pretty much the setup that I'm gonna be doing. You can buy these for like $6 each. They're like prefabricated, like surface area blocks, and they have the grooves already pre-molded, as well as the center like area where you could put a 4x4. And basically what you do is you buy those and then you measure and then you cut that 4x4 to the distance that you need to do the support, and pretty much does the trick on all 4 corners. So that's what I'm gonna do. Grab 4 of those, grab a chunk of the 4x4, and I recommend buying treated. Spend up a couple bucks. You don't want to cheapen out, especially if you got such an expensive pergola and a deck that you're trying to preserve. So, you know, spend a few bucks more and get treated wood. Don't cheapen out and get stuff that'll fall apart in a year or 2. And then this is, you can see all the work that I've done underneath there to support everything. Fortunately for me, I took the time and did it right. And then those are, I used a 2-man auger and did the cement structural underneath. So every like 8 feet it's supported with cement down into the ground, and then the posts, etc., were cemented in. So it's pretty structurally sound, but the areas where it's not supported, like you can see, I don't know if y'all can see, I'll try to zoom in here. So you can see that metal stake, that's one of the skewers. So I'm gonna have to put that setup right there underneath where that skewer is, and then over there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a skewer. It's right enough where I can still have enough room to put another setup like that next to it. And then up in that crawl space, it gets a little bit shallower, but I can still do the same. So I'm on my way to Depot to pick up the under support cinder blocks and then the 4x4 treated wood to make sure that those posts don't sag in any way, and I don't have to stress out about them ever sinking or the ground getting soft or whatever. You get the gist. But I wanted to say, so far, if you're watching this far, if you enjoy the content or if you're learning something, if you're building your own pergola, and I gave you some tips and tricks, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, even though you might not like all the content in my channel. Primarily, my channel is about helping people sell things for cheap and make money online through eBay or locally through Facebook Marketplace, etc. So if you happen to have items sitting around your house and you didn't know that you can make some money on, feel free to subscribe and learn other tricks of the trade that I'm doing to make some side cash for you and your family. Off to Depot. Thanks again for watching so far, and I'll keep going. So for the shorter gap, these solid like cement blocks, they're only $1.37. So I'll get a couple of those. As you can see, I have options. I can do the tall way there, I can do it short way there, I can do it like that. It's all a matter of what the gap is like. And then if I have just a little bit off on the measurement, I can dig out a little bit of the soil and make sure it really crams in there safe and secure. So that's what I'm gonna do for the shorter gap, and then I'm gonna go get the other ones. Here's the ones I was telling you about that you already saw in the video. But see how they have the gap already to accommodate a 4x4, and then if you had to on the cross beams, you could do that as well. But for me, I'm gonna get 2 of these for the larger gap space in the front that you saw, and then I'll put probably, I'm guessing about a 12 to 18 inch 4x4 and right underneath where that skewer was that was hanging on the 2 sides. $747 each, but fortunately for me, I got a veterans discount of 10%, so that'll be what, $7.50, $15, so $13.50 for 2 of those. But well worth it. They give you a pretty good size footprint underneath to support the deck without it sinking down and causing any drooping or any type of insecure situation. Over to the lumber. Looking for the 4x4s that fit right into that cavity. Whenever you're buying your wood, whether it be Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever y'all have in your area, always take a quick peek to see if they're straight and they don't have any major like cracks or knots in them or anything like that that would cause any type of improper cutting or like straighten, make things nice and taut. So it's just it takes you a couple seconds, but it's well worth it, because there are occasions where they sell wood that's either warped, cracked, or has abnormal like knots in it that cause problems. All right, so I got everything set up to get underneath there and position those taller 2 for the wider space, the fronts, and then these 2 here I'll position towards the back where there's, I'd say like less than a foot as far as crawl space to get those 2 in. But for those that were watching this video and said, I bet he doesn't get underneath there, there's no way he's getting underneath there, well, you lost that bet. I'm gonna get underneath here just to prove. I'll take video 2. And in the famous words that I like to say, I ain't scared. Let's hope there's no live possum or raccoons underneath there though. If so, I'll get some video and go viral on this thing. All right, so far, no rabies, no attacks. I don't see anything. I just gotta squeeze underneath here. Probably push away some of those rocks, make it nice and level, and then just find the skewers and place these supports. All right, here we go. Got this one placed. There's the skewer, so I know I'm in the right spot. There's a little bit of a gap, but I forecasted for that. So I brought a little shim piece of 2x4. I tell you what, getting old ain't fun. Back when I was in my 20s, I'd be in and out of this thing freaking quick, but I'll tell you what, I just did one of that. I got screwed over to the other, and then I got to squeeze my ass all the way up to that, like hardly any clearance, and try to give that support for the top 2 legs. So that's not going to be fun either. And I forgot to mention, down here in Texas, we got snakes. Thank God I haven't seen any. But I didn't even think about that, because they like the cool environment and stuff. So underneath the deck would be perfect. No snakes yet, but y'all wish me luck. All right, here we go. There's the second one. I had to move around a lot of these rocks to even out a flat ground and make sure it went nice and taut and smooth on this one without being loose. But got that one in. Now I just got to crawl my butt all the way up there and support the other 2 legs that are on the other side, because it kind of scales up on the ground level and gets skinnier and skinnier. So not sure how much clearance I'll have, but that's why I got the options on these guys. I can do 3 different heights. So that's kind of the game plan. Let me get up there and see what I can do. Wow, y'all, this is getting kind of tight. Like, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm already at like maybe only a foot of clearance, and I'm trying to get back to where, can y'all see, there's like a skewer, metal skewer back there, about another 8 feet before I get to it. And then I gotta go all the way up in there, try to get another, these cinder blocks. This is getting tight. All right, we were bound to find something under the deck. So as I was scooting along and I looked down, what did I find? There's a skeleton, little teeth action, and then up here, some bones. So my guess is, and I'm pretty sure y'all agree, that looks like a possum that was underneath here. Because of that long, drawn out face, and then you got the teeth. So, dead possum was underneath here. Thank God it wasn't fresh dead, or it'd be stinking. Well, it took a lot of army crawling to scoot up here, but I've got like probably 8 inches of clearance between that and the dirt that I'm messing with. And I get there, you can see that's the skewer, and I'm just gonna have to just whittle this thing in. You can see I only have like 4 inches. Try to support that as best as I can at that joist, and then go to the other side. Woo. All right, I'm done climbing underneath this deck. If y'all haven't hit the like button yet, I don't know what I gotta do to deserve a like button. What other YouTubers are climbing underneath this? Showing y'all bones from possum, getting all dirty. Man, this is crazy, but it had to be done. Still haven't pressure washed the deck, but there you go. That's what it looks like. 10 by 14. Once I do all the decking, set up all the furniture again, look pretty good. Trying to get some pressure washing done while the weather's still good. Kind of see how it goes off of there. Pretty easy, it's just time consuming. I bet you it takes longer to pressure wash this deck than it did to put together the pergola, just from how big the deck is. You just kind of have to do the slide, move everything away while you're doing certain areas, and then shift it back over to the areas that you've already done. That way you don't got to move all the furniture that far away. All right, y'all, so I understand it'd probably be boring and mundane just to keep watching me pressure washing a deck until it's complete. So I'm gonna stop here, show you where I'm at, and then I'm gonna cut to basically the end product so y'all can see everything that happened with not only building the pergola, but the whole layout since you've been here this long. All right, this is the last I'm gonna show you until I cut to the rest, but I'm going board by board, all the way down and shifting all the furniture. It's taking me a while, so keep that in mind. It's not something that takes 5 minutes. But this is where I'm at so far. And then I'm gonna cut to it now. A little pause in the action. Wanted to show y'all making progress. Pause in the action. There you go, here's an update. I'll pause in the action, show y'all what I've got so far. Moving everything. Getting it out of the way is just a hassle. I got this whole top done. And then if y'all have the indoor, exterior carpets, like that put on your deck, make sure you remember that you can pressure wash those as well. That one cleaned up really good over there. And then this one, you can see, that's all dirt. That's not wet, that's dirt. And then that's from me just pressure washing it. So keep that tucked in the back of your head. If you do have a deck and you want to put it underneath your pergola or something where the furniture's at, make sure you get an exterior carpet because you can pressure wash them. And I'll show you the after once I finish this in about 10-15 minutes. And there you go. There's the after. Pressure washed. It's like an algae, like a black mold that accumulates with when water sits, especially down here in Houston. But we'll put those back on the deck, get everything configured. In case y'all were wondering about what pressure washer I was using, it's pretty handy. Ryobi 2000 PSI. The magical number that I'm told is 2,500 though. So if you can find one that's 2,500 at an affordable price, I think this one's like 100, 120. Has wheels, it's pretty handy. That's what I use to do this deck. And I just gotta bring everything together, put the furniture up, and then show you the end. Also might wanna mention, I'd give a tip of advice that take like an Advil or acetaminophen or the liquid gel caps or whatever they're called. Those are what works best for me. But take a couple of those before you start this project, because I can already tell you it's gonna be a sore back tonight and tomorrow. That was a lot of bending over to do pressure washing. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to. Consider the entertainment value and learning something new on my channel regarding reselling things you didn't know of value that you can make some money on. And then let me cut to the end of the project so you can see everything put together. If you're like me, it's real satisfying to see how things come all together at the very end. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Thanks again, guys. Here's the bird's eye view with the deck all pressure washed and the carpets, obviously. Here's another angle of the pergola. Looks pretty good with the deck all done and everything. All right, y'all, I got everything pressure washed. Got some of the furniture laid out so you can kind of get a feel of how it turned out. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. Pretty good entertainment deck out here, Galveston, NASA area. So, should be pretty fun.